Margaret Tone News. Today is my Amazonite story. Okay, so it's also a story about when I had a reading with Eileen Davies. It was called a sitting because Eileen Davies is from England, I guess. And so let me just sit down and tell you my story. Well, one time when I was visiting my mom, Eileen Davies was in town, so I said, I want to go get a reading with Eileen Davies. So naturally, I bought some really nice roses to bring to her because I wasn't going to show up, empty-handed, so to speak, even though I had to pay for the reading. So I went to see her, and it was one of the few times in my life where I really felt like somebody really got me, understood me. It was like, wow. I mean, she was just phenomenal. It was a long time ago. I don't know if it was like 20 years ago, something. And it's something that I'll never forget. So she's a medium. You may or may not have heard of her, but she's pretty famous in that world. So I wanted to have that experience. And I remember her specifically telling me that this is some Amazonite. She said that she talks to the people that have crossed over and died, and she said my grandmother was like really right there, like pressing. I said, oh yeah, that's grandma. So yeah, grandma had a really strong personality. So anyway, yeah, it was really overwhelming actually for me. But Eileen Davies was saying that she said, they're showing me Amazonite, you see? And she said, I've never heard of Amazonite, but I have to go with what they're saying. And so after the sitting, of course I, went and looked up to see if it even existed, because she was kind of dumbfounded. She was like, well, I've never heard of that stuff, but she said that they're telling me that you should get it. They meaning, my ancestors or supportive people that showed up for the sitting. So here is the Amazonite. I did find it. It is a real thing. And I thought that was pretty neat that she was able to hear something that would help me that she never heard of before in her life. And she was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to tell you what I heard, even though I've never heard of that. And yeah, she told me that, she said, they want you to know that you matter. And she said that, no matter where you go, you never fit in anywhere. I said, yeah, that's been my experience. Sadly, but it's true. Like any group I've joined, I don't fit into any group. People run away and they avoid me. And then there's the other people that'll be like, well, that's not happening. Nobody's avoiding you. I'm like, so you're being mean too, then. That's what that means. It's like, that's called discounting. So when I have an experience and then someone says I'm not having it, I even had a counselor do that. I told her what happened, and she said, that doesn't happen. Those types of people never do that. I was like, oh boy. So consequently, I buried that story, and I never try to tell it again. It's like, nope, not going to try that again. It's just too hard. It just kind of creates another scar on top of the old scar, you know? It's like I already have enough of them, and then you go to counseling and they make it worse. Fun, isn't it? So yeah. And yeah. And I have to say I don't really like the whole you know, the plastic positivity. It really grates on my nerves severely. Like, you know, and I also have realized that putting on a veneer of positivity when something's actually wrong could literally kill you, because, you know, if you're in a relationship with someone who only speaks positive, happy, laughing, positive, and then something's actually wrong, then I can't tell that person, hey, something's wrong, you know, because everything has to be positive. In my experience, that has actually happened. And it's like, I had to go through the experience to realize that that's not a smart idea, to be with someone who can only be positive. Because it's, you know, like if something's wrong and I'm trying to say something, then it's like it just gets squashed down further and further, and I'm just sinking, and I have to pretend that everything's fine to fit in with this person who's misinterpreting A Course in Miracles. And yeah, yeah, so I don't, yeah, and then I've had that happen a few times, where I have a friend that goes to a spiritual group, and then it's like, you know, they come back and want to analyze me, and that happened this morning again, and I was like, I blocked the person. I was like, I'm not going to listen to this ever again. Nope. No. The person actually had the nerve to say, Margaret, do you read? I was like, oh my God, you're taking my most sacred thing, reading, and wrecking it for me. Oh my God, you cannot imagine the pain. I was like, oh, how could you insult me to ask me if I read? I was like, oh my God. And then, of course, I fell for it, and I actually answered the question, and then it was like there was no real answer. Like nothing could satisfy this starving soul. And I thought, you know what, I am sorry, but, you know, maybe since he's drinking the Kool-Aid in that program that he's in, maybe that'll help him. But I am not going to let him suck out my soul. And I love, it's a huge Amazonite rock. I have the little ones too. They're really cute. But what's wrong with this big one, right? Nothing. It's a beautiful, gigantic, you know, you can see the scale of it, you know, when you look at my nose. Could you imagine if my nose was that big? I would be the most confident person on the planet. Move over, Napoleon. Here I come. Oh, yes. I know. I was talking to a friend, and he was like, well, how many... Something about people watching me. I said, I don't care if anyone watches it. I don't care if anybody subscribes. I really don't care. So that sounds terrible, but I just love the joy of making Margaret Tone News. And I wanted to share about Amazonite because she said that it would help me. Eileen Davies said that it would help me. And, you know, I should have embraced it more than I did. I found it really hard to believe that I matter. Based on what I learned growing up, it was like, you know, not so much. I wasn't really taught that I mattered at all. So, I don't know. I'm still trying to fill in the shoes of my adult body, I guess. I don't know. But I know that a lot of people in society, I look around and I'm like, yeah, maybe, you know, you might be 68, but you're 3. I think I'm 6. There you go. Yeah. Anyways, so this is Amazonite. Hello. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, it comes in these giant chunks. And yeah, I have tried to embrace Amazonite ever since Eileen Davies told me that. And I have to tell you, she was a phenomenal reader. And she did a sitting for me. Not a reading, they call it sittings, I guess, in England. Or whatever fancy word they call England now. I don't even care. Whatever. It's a hunk of rock over there somewhere. And yeah, I can't memorize everything there is to memorize in the world, so I call it England. Maybe it's Great Britain or the UK or whatever it is they're calling it right now, but yeah. Anyway, so she told me about how my grandpa got a hook in his neck when he went fishing, and she told me every freaking detail. Mom said, "Don't say freaking. Can I do anything without having somebody come along and edit what I'm doing?" This is just unbelievable, the treatment I get. So I just watched a video from someone else on YouTube, and she said this is for kindness, and I thought, oh my God, I had no idea it was for kindness. That's what I need, is some kindness. And I also want to say, you know, if you go to your spiritual group and you start reading your spiritual books, don't project it onto your friends. That's so rude. Just don't do that. That's mean. You know, that stuff is supposed to be for you to pay attention to. Not so you can ignore it and then go try to fix everybody else. No, that's not what it's for. Anyway, so this is my Amazonite video. And I'm not going to give you some bullet point stuff that you could look up on Wikipedia. That's my experience with Amazonite. And when I hold it, I feel calm. It's very calming for me. I really like it. And I think I'm going to get the Amazonite essence from Star Essence. StarEssence.com. I love Star Essence. I'm going to get that and try to work with it, you know, to really grok it that I matter. That would be so nice. And yeah, I can think of some instances, you know, once I rescued some woman from her husband. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here listing off all my good qualities. That's just not going to work for me. If it's not going to work for me, it's not going to work for you. Right? Righty-o. But there's nothing wrong with, you know, giving someone a blanket if they're cold. You know, I've done that. I'm just saying that not to toot my own horn, no. You know, if it's winter and you live in a cold climate, put a blanket in your back seat, specifically for the person standing at the road who's cold, and you know you're going to give them that blanket. That way you're ready. You know, you don't have to be like, what am I going to do? You just jump out of your car, grab the blanket, give it to them, and likely, you know, that's happened to me. They've cried before. I gave away my favorite Mexican blanket. It was really hard. I loved that Mexican blanket. It was so pretty. It's a beautiful turquoise color. But I gave it to this homeless girl, and she cried. She was like, "You don't understand. Nobody even sees me." I was like, oh. She said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Well, I'm a human being, and that's what humans do, right?" You don't need some religious excuse. Maybe I'll eat my Amazonite. Isn't it? It does have some kind of a smell. Maybe I'll grind it up. Who knows? Hey, I can make Amazonite water. That's a great idea. Next full moon. Yeah, baby. I'm getting ideas. Thanks for watching Margaret Tone News. I hope you enjoyed my video and my story about seeing Eileen Davies. I am so glad I did. I only saw her once in my life, and I'm really glad that I can say that I actually saw Eileen Davies, the famous medium from England. Oh, excuse me. And she said to get Amazonite for myself. And so I did. I got myself some Amazonite. And, you know, I still don't fit in anywhere. Somebody's calling me. I gotta run. Thanks for watching Margaret News.